On your own from the age of 15. Reckless, aggressive, and undisciplined.
This is a rebellion, isn't it? I rebel.
We have a mission for you. A major weapons test is imminent. We need to know what it is and how to destroy it.
Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
My Nerd Road.
So what I want to know is whether or not Disney had the intention to go and release this big, huge Rogue One dump of info from Entertainment Weekly, if they had the intention of releasing it this soon, or if because there was so much controversy surrounding the film and these reshoots for Rogue One, that they felt the need to quell some of the concerns, or at least change the narrative. Welcome to My Nerd World and the Star Wars podcast. This is a bonus podcast. I'll do another one later this weekend for episode 54, I believe. But I did want to take a moment out and get into what was revealed today. This again, it was a dump of Star Wars Rogue One news. A exclusive first look coming from, once again, Entertainment Weekly, and coming from, once again, the Star Wars connection to Lucasfilm and Disney, Anthony Breznican from Entertainment Weekly. And it was one of those moments where once, I'm at work doing my show, and suddenly I begin to see on Twitter and elsewhere that a bunch of Star Wars Rogue One information has just come out, and they spread the information out today a little bit. There was one particular piece of information that we'll spend some time on, and this won't be as long a podcast as usual, but there was one piece of information, and it was Forrest Whitaker's character that they held on to for a couple hours before they revealed who the character was this afternoon. And it's a really, really smart move. For one, waiting to release it because it kind of perpetuates throughout the day the chatter around Rogue One, and the internet was kind of going nuts trying to figure out who this character was. And it's also a really smart move by Disney and Lucasfilm in who this character is, because it accomplishes something that I personally believe Rogue One really needed to do. So let's get into a little bit of the information that they've released today. I'm not going to go through the entire article. I'm basically going to read to you the synopsis of what they were going to reveal, and then I'm just going to give you some of the bullet points as it relates to each of the characters. We didn't get much in the way of new imagery. There is a couple of new photos, but it's mostly things we've seen before. The only thing that you really kind of get a better look at, even though we've seen this in leaks, but officially, even though what we saw in terms of leaks was official, is the new droid of the film that we'll talk about. We have a bit of his character description that we will get into, but you get to kind of see him in an official capacity on the cover of Entertainment Weekly, which also shows not only that droid that belongs to the Rebellion, but also Jyn Erso, Felicity Jones, Diego Luna. We'll talk about him a little bit. The jungle background, the Death Star in the background, the new AT-ATs. And the new TIE fighters, the strike fighters, as they are calling them. So let's start here. This was revealed on the Today Show, I believe. ABC Today Show, is that right? They did a quick, little over 2-minute story on the release today. This again, Rogue One information dump. So I just wanted to go ahead and start off the podcast by playing you the audio in case you haven't heard it yet.
Now with the secrets of the newest Star Wars movie, Rogue One, Entertainment Weekly has an exclusive first look behind the scenes, and Jesse is here with the details. Hey, Jesse.
That's right, David. Like the Star Wars films we've seen thus far, Rogue One, a Star Wars story, takes place long ago in a galaxy far, far away. And it features some fascinating new characters and one big one that we already know. Take a look.
State your name for the record.
Jyn Erso.
Millions of Star Wars fans are anxiously waiting for the December release of Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, a prequel to the original trilogy.
We have a mission for you. A major weapons test is imminent. We need to know what it is.
The new trailer ominously foreshadows the arrival of the dreaded Death Star.
Rogue One is the story that really sets up the original Star Wars by showing us how the rebels got those Death Star plans that allowed Luke Skywalker to blow the thing up.
Entertainment Weekly's exclusive first look at Rogue One features Felicity Jones on the cover as Jyn Erso.
We've got Felicity Jones leading this rebel strike force. She's very different from Rey and very different from Luke even. She's not this sort of wide-eyed innocent who's thirsting for adventure.
Mexican actor Diego Luna is a Rebel Alliance officer, and this brand new character, yet to be revealed, a droid, set to join the old favorites in the Star Wars galaxy. And who is this mysterious new stormtrooper? And what pivotal role will it play? The new chapter features the most diverse cast of any Star Wars film, including Hong Kong action superstar Donnie Yen and Forrest Whitaker, along with a new cast of heroes. The magazine reporting the film takes place on a new planet immediately before Star Wars Episode 4, set at the same time as Luke and Leia, 34 years before Rey and Finn in The Force Awakens, and features the return of one of the all-time great villains.
Darth Vader kind of looms large over the plot even when he's not necessarily on screen because the new villain played by Ben Mendelsohn, he's trying to fulfill the wishes of the Emperor, and he's got kind of Vader looming in the background over his shoulder.
And despite the non-stop battle scenes, moviegoers are in for a different type of Star Wars movie.
It's more about regular people who don't have Force sensitivity and Force powers trying to do their best to push back against a really intense, great, threatening evil.
Ooh, so many exciting surprises on the way. The issue of Entertainment Weekly's exclusive first look at Star Wars Rogue One goes on sale nationwide Friday, June 24th. And of course, the movie opens on December 16th. David, I know you can't wait.
Jesse, look behind you. I feel like you're getting
All right,
lost.
we'll stop it there.
My nerd world.
It was interesting. The comment you heard in there, the person speaking who was giving the information was Anthony Breznican, and again, he's sort of the go-between, the unofficial Disney Lucasfilm spokesperson through Entertainment Weekly. What I liked about his comment was it gave me an opportunity, I was thinking, to kind of go back and remind everybody about how this whole thing called Star Wars started. You know, this film, as Anthony mentioned, doesn't involve the Jedi. It doesn't really involve the Force that much. There are some connections there, obviously, apart from Darth Vader being in the movie. But to a certain extent, you know, neither did A New Hope. I mean, not until Ben Kenobi got involved. I mean, there was a little bit with Darth Vader, but they really played down the Force aspect of it. And when you think about that actually aligns with the original trilogy. I mean, the power of the Force was done less so in A New Hope, more so in, and probably the most in, of course, The Empire Strikes Back, and then a little bit less in Return of the Jedi. It certainly was more of a focal point as it relates to the Jedi in the prequel trilogy. I mean, you almost had a superhero sort of aspect going on in the prequel trilogy with all of the Jedi. This movie isn't about that, which I'm really looking forward to, and also, in my opinion, lines up quite well with A New Hope. So let's break down a little bit of this here. This was the synopsis of what will be released, and I'll kind of spend a little bit more time on this at length in this weekend's podcast. But they gave out new information about Jyn Erso, an outlaw who clashed with both the Rebellion and the Empire. Full details about the squad characters taking on the Empire. A look inside the Imperial ranks as seen through the eyes of its new villain, Ben Mendelsohn's ambitious officer. Candid revelations from the filmmakers about the current reshoots adding to the story as the film nears its December release. And finally, confirmation of what fans have hoped for ever since the project was announced, and that is Darth Vader is back. And of course, he had to be back. I don't see how you do a film that takes place minutes, the end of the film, from what we've heard, ends minutes before A New Hope starts. How do you have such major events as it revolves around the Death Star take place without having Darth Vader as a part of that story? I mean, even in the beginning of of A New Hope. In the crawl, it mentions, the rebels have won their first victory against the evil galactic empire, and Darth Vader in the opening scenes of the film says there'll be no one to stop us this time, which we all assume refers to whatever the events are that happens inside of Rogue One. So let's go through the characters one by one. Jyn Erso. This is the breakdown that MakingStarWars.net has put out. Just basically the most pertinent information. So, Jyn Erso has knowledge of the galactic underworld that the rebels need. She's been on her own since age 15, has a checkered past, and if she helps the rebels, it will commute her sentence. Diego Luna's character, Captain Cassian Andor. He's a rebel captain. He's brought in to steady Jyn and has a lot of experience. And we also have Shurat Imwi, not a Jedi. This was played by Don Ian. Not a Jedi, but he's devoted to their ways to use his spirituality to overcome his blindness and become a better warrior. He's a warrior monk, as Kathleen Kennedy describes him. And again, this idea of Jedi is something that I don't want to say gets misinterpreted in general. I think there is sort of a thought that if you're a Jedi, if you're powerful in the Force, you're obviously a Jedi, and that's just not the case. You need to be trained to be a Jedi. You have to earn that title, but that's not to say that individuals can't possess the Force. I mean, Princess Leia did, obviously, in A New Hope. We saw her connect with Luke Skywalker as he was hanging on that weather vane, and she obviously wasn't a trained Jedi, and to be honest, neither was Luke Skywalker through the original trilogy until the end when he finally defeated Vader. All right, so then we have Baz Malbus, devoted to keeping his friend Shurat safe at all costs. I might be pronouncing that wrong. The article I have here in front of me doesn't have the right pronunciation on it. He supports his friend's beliefs in the ways of the Force, the monk, if you will, even though he doesn't believe. He's also a weapons expert. Bodhi Rook. He is the Rebel Squad's lead pilot, hot-headed, but gets the job done. Everyone relies on him for his technical skills. Then we have the droid, K2SO. This is the character that was motion capped by Alan Tudyk. He's been in quite a bit of stuff, but I know him from Serenity, the pilot in Serenity that, spoiler alert, dies at the end. Also in Transformers, Dark of the Moon. He's been in a lot of different movies. But he's the mocap character for this droid that we've talked about in previous podcasts. A security droid, has a little bit of Chewbacca's personality, totally the opposite of C-3PO. Like Erso, he's on a mission to make up his past wrongdoings. He speaks the truth even if it offends someone. We have Galen Erso, played by Mads Mikkelsen, Jin's father. He has doomsday knowledge that is sought out both by both the Empire and the Rebels, obviously as it pertains to the Death Star. He has not seen Jyn Erso in years. Then we have Ben Mendelsohn's character, director Orson Krennic. He controls a squad of death troopers. These are the black stormtroopers that we've seen in the trailer, also in some of the artwork, and they showed a quick clip of them storming a beach in that television footage we played for you. He's trying his best to avoid the wrath of Darth Vader, wants to ascend to the Emperor's graces, which I find interesting, which raises, of course, the specter that, are we going to see the Emperor? Are they going to keep him hidden? I would probably imagine they will keep him hidden, or perhaps just shown in holograph form, seeing that he really doesn't make an appearance in the original trilogy until Return of the Jedi, at least in the flesh, and it makes sense to sort of keep him in the background to keep in line as these movies are closer to the original trilogy than the prequel trilogy. Darth Vader is his enforcer. Now, Forrest Whitaker's character is the most interesting one. This is the one where in the trailer he says, what do they do if they fight you, right? Everyone knows who Forrest Whitaker is. So it turns out that Forrest Whitaker's character is a character that we've seen before. He's playing Saw Gerrera. Now, Saw Gerrera was first introduced during the Clone Wars, the Star Wars cartoon, Star Wars The Clone Wars, in the 5th season in a 4-part story chronicling the start of a rebel cell on Onderon. Now we've learned that Saw Gerrera from Star Wars Underworld, the website, actually came from George Lucas himself. Pablo Hidalgo was on the Star Wars show today and made some comments about this. But before I get to that, let me talk about the significance of this for